So today we are the Wednesday 18th of September. Um, Jonathan has almost completely lost his voice. He has a very low rasp voice when he talks, but if he uses it too much, he gets completely mute. So we are into week 5 of his treatment. He keeps having chemotherapy, cisplatin every Friday and radiotherapy every day. So the symptoms are now quite painful and severe. His throat is basically raw. He's bleeding when he's vomiting because he's vomiting a hell of a lot. He has mucus mainly coming from when he's vomiting, and it's very thick, very. He can cut it with his finger, and it's in clumps. It's quite disgusting, actually. Yes, that's the least you can say. And it's also very painful when it comes back up because everything is raw. He has ulcers, he's bleeding. He has also thrush in a part of his mouth and throat, which develops actually quite easily when you have those treatments. He cannot drink anymore, he cannot eat anymore anything, he cannot even take his medication by mouth except if they are in a liquid form. He was taking cocodamol in effervescent form. He can't swallow that anymore at all. So we have to inject it through his rig, which is in his stomach. Have you shown that, your rig?
The rig, the rig.
And you can see it goes directly into the stomach, like this. And it's actually quite looking good now, because when it was fitted, it was leaking a lot, which is not normal. It can have a little bit of, things coming out, but not leaking like a full glass of water or something coming out. And in this case, they thought it was food, and then they realized it was mainly gastric juices. And one of the problems was when he was asleep, it would wake him up because suddenly it was all wet. And at the end, it became quite awful because he was walking and suddenly he looked at me and he was dripping. It was coming down as if it were, let's say, raining. Let's be a bit poetic. So the pain is excruciating most of the time. So now he has fentanyl as a patch on his arm.
The patch.
It's a very small patch. It lasts 3 days, 72 hours. But the first 24 hours, apparently it's quite ineffective. We can't know exactly. We are 8 in the morning today. He put it up yesterday at 11 a.m. So we don't know if it has any effect yet. Fentanyl is supposed to be stronger than morphine, up to 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine. So that's a little bit worrying. Let's hope also it's true. And the other thing is that you can't touch it with your fingers. If you do, you have to wash them immediately, and it shouldn't get into contact with your mouth. If you do that, there's a risk of death. Very scary. So at the moment, he has a whole regime that we are going through for people who are interested. In the morning, when he wakes up, he usually wakes up because he's in pain and because he's choking on the mucus. And so what happens is I have to give him some painkillers. He was taking cocodamol. Because it's effervescent, I have to put it in a glass of water with a little bit of water and let it rest for a few hours until the effervescence has gone. And usually I give him that, and he's taking one type of antiemetics 3 times a day and another type of emetics twice a day. So I try to pace them. In the morning he has both of them at the same time with the cocodamol. So hopefully about half an hour later I can give him other medication. So first first you have the lidocaine to try to numb the throat completely, which allows him to talk, as you can see, a little bit. It won't last long. And once he had the lidocaine, about 10 to 20 minutes later, I can give him the mucus thinner because it's in a very small syringe, plastic syringe, and he can suck it. It used to taste good. I think it's not the case anymore. He can't taste anything anymore. He can smell, and some food smell make him sick. So when we eat now, we can't eat with him, which is not such a bad thing because usually when he eats, he vomits. So when we were all at the table, we were having a nice meal, and he was not. So it's when we have guests, it's a little bit disturbing. But so once he had his mucus thinner and the lidocaine, we can wait a little bit and then we can feed him. So the feed is through a syringe, and he has these little bottles of either fruit juices or kind of a milkshake. Honestly, they all smell vile to me, but anyway, they contain lots of vitamins, minerals, and everything he needs. He's supposed to have 5 a day. On a good day so far, he has 3. And yesterday he had 2, and he completely rejected the second one. So it's quite difficult. Every feed takes about half an hour, 40 minutes. So if we have to do that 5 times a day, start calculating how much time we spend doing it. So pain doesn't go away. It can get better. When the rig was installed, it came in waves. It was quite awful. The first 2 weeks actually were very, very painful. It still is a little bit, but it's getting better. But he has spasm, and otherwise the throat, of course, is on fire, and that can be pretty bad. So I'm trying to make sure that he has his painkillers like this, and as soon as he stops going like that, next batch. Sometimes he falls asleep, so I have to weigh, shall I let him sleep or shall I wake him up to get the medication? Usually I let him sleep, because when he sleeps he's not in pain, but when he wakes up sometimes he's really in pain and I feel bad. We had an incident where he took his painkillers too early in the evening, and he woke up at 1, and then we had to go through the whole thing. It took an hour and a half. Then he fell asleep, not me, so I had a white night. So yeah, that's basically what is going on right now. Believe it or not, he's doing extremely well, according to the radiotherapist and everybody. They think he's able to do a lot. He can't walk anymore, he can't go very far, he's very weak, he shakes a lot, especially when he vomits. I think he's mainly dehydrated. It's very hard to give him enough water or anything because he doesn't stay in, which shouldn't be the case, but sadly it is. So that's where we are. We're doing our best, all of us. It hurts to see him like that. I think for the kids it's particularly hard, and when you haven't seen him for a long time, or even people who saw him the first 2 weeks where he was fine, when they see him now, it's quite a shock. He's lost 10 kilos, did I say that? So far, that's quite a lot. So that's it. That's it. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.